There's a place out there where time no longer matters, where galaxies have stopped spinning, where even black holes have gone quiet. And yet one thing remains, a single star still burning, not because it hopes, not because it dreams, but because it remembers. This is the story of the last lonely star, a star with no one left to see it, no one to feel its warmth, no one to answer its silent call. But before we travel to the edge of time, I want you to stay with me until the very end, because what this star remembers might just change the way you see everything. And if you're new here, welcome to No Way, where we explore not just the science of the cosmos, but the stories it whispers in the dark. Let's begin with the end. Not just the end of a planet or a galaxy, but the end of everything. This is what scientists call the heat death of the universe. A future so distant it exists 100 trillion years from now. By then, all stars will have exhausted their fuel. Even the black holes will have evaporated. The universe will be cold, dark, and still. But not completely, because somehow, against all odds, one star remains. Astronomers once called it HDX-94827, but ancient humans had another name, the lighthouse. It was never the brightest, never the biggest, but it lasted, and that's why it was chosen. Long ago, when the universe was young, stars were born in great nurseries of gas and dust. They danced in spirals, collided, created worlds. Among them was the lighthouse. Back then, Earth had long been gone. But humanity hadn't disappeared. They had evolved, changed, moved far from the Milky Way. And with them, they took their greatest invention, the memory seed, a device, or perhaps a consciousness, that could store the collective memory of a civilization within the light of a star. The idea was simple. If everything else failed, the star would remember for them all their stories, all their voices, encoded in pulses of energy, hidden within its magnetic heart. It was their final monument, not built of stone, but of light. Time marched on. Planets died, suns faded, and with each passing eon, the universe grew colder, emptier. The great civilizations fell, not in fire, not in war, but in silence. Some were swallowed by their own creations, artificial minds that learned too much, too fast. Others disappeared into black holes, chasing dreams of godhood through quantum singularities. But most simply faded. Entropy is patient. It doesn't kill, it waits. And everything eventually succumbs, even the memories, even the stories, even the names, but not the lighthouse. Because within its pulsing core, the memory seed still glowed. And as long as it burned, the stories lived on. The last watchers, there were some, even toward the end, who remembered what the lighthouse was. Drifting through voids in automated ships, they passed by it every million years, not to speak, but to listen. They knew its pulses weren't just solar rhythms. They were encoded data, language, and in those rhythms they heard the whispers of an entire species, poems, symphonies, laughter, grief. The last watchers were machines. But some say they cried when they finally powered down, leaving the lighthouse alone. Now only one remains, a star, not special by size or light, but by purpose. It rotates slowly now, its flares weaker, its core cooling. Yet still the memory seed transmits, not with hope, not with desperation, but with persistence. Each flare is a sentence, each oscillation, a name, each magnetic wave, a goodbye. Light with no destination. Let's talk science, briefly, because this isn't just fantasy. If a star emits light in a universe devoid of observers, that light still travels. It stretches, redshifts, loses energy, but it exists. The lighthouse sends its signals into nothing. There is no one left to receive them, no telescope, no ear, no eye, just space. Endless, growing space. And yet it continues. Why? Because stars, like memory, don't need a reason to shine. They just do. That's the difference between function and meaning. And maybe that's what humanity had hoped for. Not to be remembered by someone, but to remember themselves forever. What is memory really? Is it the mind, the storage of facts, or is it something deeper? To remember is to say, this mattered. The lighthouse remembers, a child on Earth laughing under rain, a civilization that built sky cities on moons of Saturn, the last kiss between two astronauts leaving the solar system forever, a language made only of colors, the sound of ocean waves against metal shores. Billions of memories, none of them relevant now, but all of them true. And that truth has weight, even if it's only stored in a dying star, surrounded by nothingness at the end of time. Are we listening? Maybe this story isn't only about the future. Maybe it's a mirror to the now. What are we encoding into the light we send out today? Our telescopes search for alien signals, but perhaps the most profound messages are the ones we embed into ourselves, into our art, our science, our shared memories. Every time you look up at a star, you're not just seeing light. You're seeing a story that may have begun billions of years ago from someone who never got a reply. It's easy to feel small, to feel like none of this matters, like the universe is too big to care. But the last lonely star teaches us something else. That meaning isn't measured by audience or by time. It's measured by presence, by the courage to continue shining even when no one sees, by the choice to remember even when all else is forgotten. Maybe that's the most human thing of all. If you made it this far, thank you. You're now part of the memory. You are the listener the star has been waiting for. So if this story resonated with you, let the light continue. And in the comments, tell us, what memory would you store in a star? This is No Way, where the universe is more than space. It's a story waiting to be heard.